Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and let's take a look at Nvidia today. I know last week I did AMD CPU side, and this week let's take a look at Nvidia and what they really have going on and what we can hopefully kind of expect. There's already been rumors out that their next GPU line for graphics isn't going to be out for 2025, but they do have their AI line, and I think with some of the information that is out there that AMD, Nvidia is going to be milking it as much as possible. We already saw their quarter on the financials. Nvidia wants to go after it. My Each time I kind of talk about Nvidia, my opinion is that Nvidia wants to be the top card. They do not want to lose to AMD or Intel in any of those competing markets that they're in. So their goal is to come out swinging as hard as possible. And I think that's kind of where Nvidia is going to be out. There's some information out there that Nvidia is already slowing production, slowing how cards are getting out to retailers to keep those prices high. And I think that is just Nvidia's name share in the marketplace is they're able to do that. And secondly is that they got a huge AI where they're shifting a lot of their manufacturing process to that AI side, which is going to keep the money flowing in for them and make sure that they don't have to discount their graphics prices for their gaming side unless AMD is or Intel are going to make a major move. So they can keep that up and still go down that route and do it. We've been waiting for AMD to make a move and to really take them head on, and it just seems like AMD just isn't there yet. Maybe hopefully AMD gets there, right? I like to see a marketplace more split. I think we'd have way more innovation if it was more split up than somebody containing 80% of the market, where Nvidia is at today, probably 80 plus, or right around there. But we'll see how this kind of goes through and moves forward. I think in the future, as Nvidia I think is going to be more and more focused on where the high income is, where AI, server, HPC, kind of that section. And if they can, if Nvidia can charge an obscene amount of money for those areas, how much attention is the gaming sector going to get? I do believe that Nvidia will, in the gaming sector, will always want that top card. They will do whatever it takes to get that top card. I think if Intel or AMD were to surprise them, I think it would be a short turnaround for them to get out an even faster card. I think that's how Nvidia thinks, and that's fine if it works for them and is working for them. I think don't change it, but it also drives, if AMD and Intel want to have a top line card, they're going to have to swing for the fences and hopes that they beat Nvidia for that always swings for the fences each time. I mean, just look at the 4090 cards. I wouldn't, their current wattage at, I believe that Nvidia would have went the full 600 watts on that GPU if needed, right? If AMD were going to come out swinging as hard. I really think that Nvidia will do whatever it takes. And they're still on a monolithic design where AMD has that chiplet design. We'll see which one. You get advantages in both, right? You have advantages on monolithic dies, and you have advantages on chiplets. And so we have this different paths that both of them are taking. But right now, Nvidia is winning out. They're winning out in market share, and they're winning out in mind share as well. But it's going to be, I just see them as, hey, we're going to come out in 2025 and give you guys a new card, and we're going to make sure it's the best one out there, and no one's going to compete with us. That's kind of how I see Nvidia going about this. They don't necessarily care about the graphic side of it, the gaming side of it. I think that they're just considering of the performance side of it, and we will be the best. We don't want AMD or Intel to take any of our lunch money, right? We want to keep that. And I think if Intel were to step up on their graphics side, there might have been more of a threat. But the threat that I initially felt that Nvidia was kind of trying to go after Intel and kind of stave them off. Intel had such a poor showing of the Arc GPU with the drivers and everything else at first. I almost feel like Nvidia said, yeah, we know you're there, Intel, but we're no longer paying attention to you. And you know, Nvidia getting in that thing, I know that they want to have the fastest card. I wonder what's really driving them internally to do that with AMD not coming as close as they should have with the 7900 XTX and calling it a 7900 XTX for matter of that. But these are kind of some of the things that I'm thinking about, with Nvidia. Has Nvidia, let's take a look at the software side of Nvidia, like all their tech, like DLSS, DLSS 3. I really hope that they fix DLSS 3 or make that a usable product. I'm not a huge fan of all the, frame rate generation stuff. I think that that's kind of cheesy. I think let's, process it and, maybe clean up our pipelines a little bit. And by the way, with AI, you might be able to schedule things a little bit better and get a little bit better scheduling side of things as well there, which might help out, instead of our generation, but getting the pipeline where it needs to be and filling the pipeline properly so that you're not, having dead space or dead calculations or waiting time in the GPU. So maybe there's some of that can be going through. DLS2 seems to be a pretty good technology overall. I have not used that. I've not used FSR either. I'm I'm still catching up on games, so while those, FSR and DLSS, taking the resolution and upscaling it, those upscaling techs are interesting. I really wish, maybe that's where NVIDIA is that our, cards, we're going to give them, the VRAM they need. You can just run DLSS on these. And then our top of the line card the goal is even though we're going to benchmark it with it on, our goal is to just, you can throw whatever game at it and it's going to run it. And maybe that's where the product stack is going to be, a super high-end card that nobody can afford, and then everything else a little bit more reasonable, but you're going to have to turn on these assistive technologies in order to be able to do that. I kind of wish that they would put more effort into, the GPU side of things. I get the software side tech. Heck, I'm a software developer, that's where, I spend all my days is developing software. But the hardware side of it, let's get the hardware to run, let's make the software better on it. Maybe even when you're, sending things to the GPU and sending, having it do these calculations through DirectX, through whatever, I think that there's work there that instead of just using, these upscaling technologies and these frame rate generation technologies, can we pivot a little bit for using AI to fully utilize and better schedule things on the GPU so that you have your frame rates up at the full fidelity of kind of generating there rather than using upscaling and frame rate generation? Is there something there that Nvidia is working on, or somebody else, but Nvidia and Microsoft working on together to make sure that we can speed up or essentially speed up the GPUs, but get a better frame rate, a frame time out of that GPU overall. These are some of the things I think about that now we're starting to take a pivot on, not just raw performance of a GPU, but also performance of a piece of software on top of it to help the performance out, right? We're so much focused right here recently in a DLSS or 2, 3 in different technologies, but is there a opportunity here that instead of doing it on this more after the fact, after you kind of generated something, is there something in fact before you generate the image of getting that scheduler all set up, getting the pipeline all set up, that it's going to be running more efficiently and you get a better input and everything else on that side. That's one of the things that I see Nvidia could work on and probably is taking a look at, especially with some of the AI technology that is out there. And if they're touting this and they get something up and ready, I think that could really put a lot of pressure on AMD and Intel in doing that. So this is kind of where I'm thinking, kind of some of the stuff that's in the back of my head, and I really hope it kind of takes off because I think it could be really kind of cool, some of the tech and some of the performance enhancement that could happen from it. But I do think Nvidia is going to still try to crush the high-end hardware, both in AI and in gaming. The rest of the stack, I think we're kind of seeing the direction where they're going, which is maybe not offering the best value, but putting something out there that their name will sell. So let me know what your thoughts of what's cooking up here at Nvidia. This is kind of my thoughts. Maybe I'll do Intel next week and just kind of go through each side of it. But I think it's interesting just to take a step back and think what's possible or what they might be working on, because there's so much tech out there today and there's so much changing. You have stacked chips, everything else, that HBM, all that stuff that can really help performance and how they're going to use it. And I think that in this instance, I'm kind of taking a focus of, yeah, I think they're going to still crush the high end, but I think they're also going to look at some other software stuff than what they already have. And that could be kind of interesting. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support Gray Overload and help this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. It really does help out the channel. And until next time, God bless.